Boy, do we have a ton of Anthem news to go over today, including details about quests, rare loot, does the game require an online connection, the storage system, armor damage, is that really a thing in the game, in-world currency, and so much more, including will we get, an actual backstory to this game. So let's talk about it. Hey guys, what's up? It's Robbie here with Open World Games, and I hope you guys are doing good today. Let's dive into this Anthem news, and a lot of this comes from, well, all of it comes from Mark Dara of Bioware, who's working on Anthem right now. So first of all, let's talk about questing and difficulty settings in Anthem. What type of quests can we expect, and much more. So first of all, this is what Mark Dara says. He says yes to this. So Mike Brink says, apologies if this has been asked before. Will quests be replayable, perhaps being able to set them up on higher difficulty like in certain other games of similar genres? And yes, the answer is a simple yes from Mark Dara, which is very good news. So if you want to go back and play some of your favorite quests, you can do that. But we have more information about quests as well, because there's going to be seasonal events as confirmed by Mark Dara. And these include things events around such holidays as Christmas, Halloween, that sort of thing we can expect, which has been hugely popular in games like, Fortnite. And I'm thrilled to hear this because it really does have a way of bringing the community together. So I cannot wait to see what they do with this, and if they include like skins or something like that as well thrown into the mix. All right, let's talk about loot and rare gear as well. So Cerebius, Hound says, for Anthem and the loot, are you going to be able to equip more than one piece of the highest loot rarity, or is it going to be a letdown like Destiny? And Mark Dara says, I don't believe we are restricting this, and he did confirm that in another post as well. So it sounds like you're not going to be dealing with those restrictions in Anthem. That is very good news. You're going to have a lot more freedom compared to other games in the genre. Now, some of you guys are really worried, that Anthem can't be played alone, and also about the online connection that would be required. Now, Anthem, of course, I would think for a lot of us is going to be first and foremost a cooperative experience, a multiplayer experience, but some of us really do want to explore this brand new, beautiful open world by ourselves. And you know what? That is understandable, but let's talk about the online connection. Is that something that is required? So, Mark Dara did confirm this. You do need an online connection to play Anthem, so that is going to be absolutely required. But there was another question, can I play the story mode alone in Anthem? And the answer is yes. So, in that sense, it's going to be similar to, I think, The Division, in the way that game you had to have an online connection to play The Division, and you could explore the world in solo. But of course, again, this game, a lot of it's going to be about just exploring the world together, I think. And then you're going to want to take on those stronghold missions, the raid-type missions together, because I think their difficulty in some respects are going to require more players. I actually spoke to some of the Bioware developers, and they said, yes, you're going to want to really get in there with more players. Is it possible to take on some of these tougher challenges by yourself? Yes, sure, that is actually a possibility, but again, the more the merrier in this case with Anthem. So some of you are also wondering about, the storage system. Will you get some sort of locker or some sort of safe house to go back to and store your gear? How does the storage system work exactly? So Connor says, will we have storage vault to keep stuff in? If so, do we have a limit in our inventory? And Mark does say yes to both. Not sure if the vault has a limit, end quote. What do you guys think about the inventory having a limit, by the way? Do you prefer the system to be something like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, where it's basically the inventory has no limit? Or do you prefer something like Skyrim, where you have to really kind of manage your inventory and your storage? Let me know in the comments below. I think in the case with this game, of course, you do need limits to also encourage players to go back to their Strider and go back to, the fort where they could continue the story and also take on new activities and side missions. So yeah, having a limit in some respects does make sense. I hope that you can, of course, I would imagine that you can upgrade this limit so it's not too much of a micromanagement hassle, because that's something I cannot stand with certain games, is when you're constantly looking at menu screens over actually experiencing the world and playing the game. So here's to hoping they actually manage that one very well. Now here's a really, really good question about armor damage and, repairing your equipment. That's something I've also wondered myself. So Alexis Miss says, will the Javelin's equipped gear attachments get damage that needs to be repaired? Say the gear is 50%. Will take more damage than fully repaired gear, and once it goes down to 0% armor, you'll no longer be able to wear it until it's scrapped or repaired. And the answer is no. Mark confirms this, that no, you won't have to worry about that in Anthem. You won't have to worry about your armor being damaged, because you want to keep your armor, and it's not like it's just going to suddenly blow up and then your armor is just absolutely gone. This is not like a survival game. I think that this is I wouldn't say more casual than a survival game. Of course, there are difficulty settings, but yeah, you don't have to worry about like repairing, eating, or getting water or anything like that in terms of survival stuff. So I think that is very good news. Now, when you're actually roaming around the world in Anthem, a lot of us are wondering, is this game purely just a loot-based game? Is it going to be where I get all my new items by just exploring the world, taking down enemies, going on raids and quests? Is that the only way I can obtain items, or is there a working currency and economy in the game? So Mark Dara does confirm there is an in-world currency in this game. So expect, shops and the like when you are roaming around, the fort and, taking on other quests. You will be expecting to buy stuff for your gear, your inventory for your Javelin, all sorts of goodies. So curious about that one. I'm also curious to see how the in-world currency will work as well. So also we're going to be talking about Javelins and classes. Some of you are still confused about Javelins. Do you get one Javelin? How do loadout works? How do loadout works in Anthem? So this is what Mark Dare has said about this. He says, you start with the Ranger, you earn the others, you can switch to another Javelin once you unlock it between missions. So it sounds like you are dead set on starting with the Ranger. I thought for sure you went in and got to pick which Javelin you wanted to play with. So that was definitely interesting to hear. That's what I assumed. I thought, hey, you can start with the Storm or whatever, but it sounds like you're going to have to unlock these Javelins as you move on through some of these main missions. Let me know what you make of that one. I'm curious to see what a lot of you guys have to say about that. Now, more about Javelins and classes. You can change up your Javelins, and yes, class is a reasonable analogy there. So John Mack does say, does a Javelin serve as like a class? Then once you pick the Javelin, you can pick a different frame or loadout, or do you have only one type of Javelin that you can customize? So yeah, you're going to be changing up your Javelins during your experience, and then also equipping various weapons per Javelin, because you're going to be finding loot that's kind of locked to, say, the Storm class, and then you'll find loot that's locked to another class as well, like the Interceptor or something like that. But it was also confirmed by Mark recently that loot will be dropping and be more biased towards what you are currently piloting. So if you're roaming around as the Colossus, expect most of the loot that you pick up to be geared towards your Colossus. That makes a lot of sense. But along the journey, you can pick up other gear for other Javelins that you are not currently piloting. So that's pretty cool. And that does really encourage you to experiment in the game as well. So, story is going to be super important in Anthem. They're really bragging that they're doing something different compared to other online games. That story is going to be actually a focus here. And that we should be expected to be surprised by this. So James says, hey, will Anthem have a backstory section either via menus or a place to visit in the city that gives you a backstory and information on enemies, locations, etc.? And Mark does confirm that yes, it will have some sort of backstory lore, section that you can really get into. If you're that type of player and you really want to learn about every single little detail about this world, its characters, and so much more, there will be like an encyclopedia for you to do that. Now, here's to hoping that that's, again, they're really bragging that that's not all there's going to be. So hoping that they go beyond menus to tell us a story, because some games have a habit of doing that. So it seems like they're really, aware that a lot of us don't want to be stuck in menus when dealing with stories. At least that's me. I think the lore aspect is really cool, but for me, I really want to be in tune to the story when actually in-game experiencing the gameplay and stuff like that. But guys, there it is, the latest update around Anthem. Stay tuned here for more news and updates around this upcoming open world game from Bioware. Cannot wait to hop into it. Thank you guys so much for the support and for watching, and I will see you guys next time.